Okay, guys, Spider-Man Day, first ever Spider-Man Day in Saudi Arabia. First of all, thank you, Figures Master, for arranging the entire venue and basically bringing out your collection, giving us time, giving us the space. Both me and Son of Sparta are grateful to you for doing that. Son of Sparta, you came all the way from the other part of town with your amazing connection. And let's talk about Spider Man. Why are we such huge fans of Spider Man?
Sure, sir.
Yes, please.
If you look back at any interview for Stan Lee talking about this character, it is, and as well as Tom Holland or anyone who's familiar, it is probably the most relatable Marvel character. He is a kid from Queens, New York, who is trying to do the right thing because he suffered a little bit of a traumatic experience, but also, he's got a lot going on at home. He's in between school and saving the day and responsibilities and taking care of his aunt. There's so much going on with him, paying bills, trying to get with the girl of his dreams. There's so many themes that are relatable to your day-to-day life. And also Stanley said that he mostly covers his entire face and body. So he could be Asian, he could be black, he could be brown, he could be any of us. So no matter which part of the world you're in, what culture you're in, what religion you have, these are problems that we all deal with. And we all try to resolve them in our day-to-day lives. So he is all of us. He's always trying to deal with these problems. And he does the best he can. And the one thing I guess we can all try and resonate with is, for me, it touched me personally. And we'll talk about the new movie. But in No Way Home, despite, all these villains that he's trying to help, they still turn against him and they kill his aunt. And his aunt, her dying wish is for him to still help them.
Forgive them and their blood.
Yeah.
Figures Master.
Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man I ever saw was all animated from the 80s or 70s. And don't know which from the 70s or the 80s was the first one. It was showing in TV.
Can you raise your voice a little bit?
Okay. I saw it in the TV maybe, and then I bought it as VHS or Betamax at those days. My first, or let's say my second cosplay was Spider-Man. I had a picture of that, but I think it's lost. I think it was 1987, 1986, something like that.
Did your parents buy that from Al Balad? Because my parents were.
I'm not sure. Maybe Al Balad, maybe Son of Jeddah. No, it's
possible.
Okay.
Son of Jeddah.
Yeah. All good memory. And in those days, the only two most famous heroes, Spider-Man and Superman.
Yes.
Both of them same colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red and blue.
Red and blue, red and blue.
In reverse.
Okay. And still I'm waiting for that slot that didn't come. But
Charles.
so it Spider-Man represents everything. You saw 10, 20, 30 copy of Superman. How many Spider-Man? And if you saw the one for Miles Morales, how many Spider-Man is? 400? A lot. I just got comics, now new comics for Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I have Spider-Man.
No.
Yeah. The Spider
represent whole generation.
Yeah.
Starting from high school to the old age. Okay. And see Tobey Maguire, that's the Spider-Man.
Okay. You mentioned that your parents bought you the costume back in 1987.
Yeah.
So were you a fan before that, or you became a fan because of that?
I don't know. I was a fan before that. And I just remember in 1987, 1988, I used to have a comic book, colored book for Spider-Man.
Spider. Son of Spider,
Yep.
you became a fan of Spider-Man in the 80s.
Yes.
And what made you a fan of?
So similar to you guys, and just like yourself, to love it. I also cosplayed. I wish I could find the picture. It was back in the 80s as Spider-Man when I was in kindergarten, I believe. And I have very fond memories of leaving that party and taking off the mask and saying, "I can't wait for another occasion for me to wear this again."
Right.
I wish I could show you guys, but there was that. But my first exposure, I think, in addition to passing by comics back in the day in the U.S., there were small comics being sold at the supermarket and magazines
Right.
as you were leaving the checkout area.
Yeah.
So there was
The
that.
Primus spinner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was that. But also, I think my first exposure on Saturday morning cartoons was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yes.
When he would share the screen with Iceman and Firestar.
Exactly.
And there was a crossover with the X-Men. Lots of great stuff. We got
Australian Wolverine.
We got Australian Wolverine for the first time.
Yeah.
I got to see Juggernaut, and I got my interest in those characters as well.
Right.
So lots of great fond memories of that.
I'm glad, Son of Spider, you mentioned Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Because for most of us who grew up in Jeddah or in Saudi Arabia, my first comics were bought in 1983. And roughly around the same time, Spider-Man animated series makes its way to Saudi Channel 2. Okay. Things would land in Saudi Arabia at least 2 years late in those days. And Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends would be a special feature for Thursday. Now, hear me out on this. Back in the 80s, weekend in Saudi Arabia used to be Thursday and Friday. So Thursday morning cartoons would have the Flintstones, would have Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and there would be a live action episode of The Incredible Hulk. They showed it in the evening as well, but on some occasions they would do that in the morning as well. That's how old Spider-Man is in this part of the world, in our region.
Okay, one more thing. A live action Spidey that we did get here in Saudi was the Electric Company, if you remember.
Yes, that was the Saudi Channel 2 would broadcast.
Well, he would show up and not speak, but he would show up and wave his hands and point the thing is on screen.
And who would be doing the narration?
Who was it?
Guys, it would be Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man and his...
That was in Sesame Street, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Not Sesame Street, WW, Electric Company.
Yeah, but...
The Electric Company came before Sesame Street.
Yeah, because I remember that I saw the electrical company come a part of Sesame Street.
Yeah, because they were produced by the Children's Television Workshop. So first came Electric Company.
Yes.
When Electric Company finished, then they started... sorry. They started around the same time, both productions. Yeah, because they started in the 70s. So Electric Company, again. So go back in time, in Saudi Arabia, you're just a normal kid. Maybe you're in kindergarten, you're in grade 1. Okay. If you got the comic, yes, wonderful. But the other avenues for us to explore Spider-Man or to experience Spider-Man would be the Electric Company and the animated series, the 1981 animated series, and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. First, Spider-Man toy. Figures Master.
First Spider-Man toy? From my collection now or from...
No, in the past. When your parents got you your first Spider-Man toy.
It was in the 1980s, 88, 87.
It was an action figure.
Yeah, from Bladder App, something like that.
Bladder App or Toyland.
Yeah, Toyland.
You...
So, if I recall this right, I might have got, but the one I can remember right now is the black suit.
Yes.
For some reason, it was so appealing to me. And I have very fond memories of going into the store, looking at it and saying, I want that. And my folks got it for me. And so I don't know if that was the first one. It's the first one I remember.
That's the Mattel figure.
That might have been, yes. Yes.
Secret Wars.
Yes. And it had a picture of that cover right there on the very corner of the box.
Okay. Now, Samako toys would have their showroom on Tariq Al Medina Road, okay, which is now Samaco car showroom. And they would be displaying their toys. And they had back in the mid 80s, I think it's 85 or 86, they have the die cast vehicles,
Yep.
okay, Hulk, Black Suit Spider Man, okay, and all the other Marvel characters.
Yep.
But I was late to the party. Even though I was collecting action figures since the early 80s, my first Spider Man action figure was in 2002 when the precursor of Marvel Legends, which was called Spider Man Classics, when they had launched their action figures line and full of articulation and everything. That Spider Man, which I still have today, was based on Mark Bagley's art. That was my first action figure for Spider Man. Never had it before. I even missed out on the 1990s Spider Man action figures. I had the X Men and everything, but Spider Man, and now I have multiple action figures. So thank goodness for that. But guys, Spider Man comics are not doing well these days because not groundbreaking stories are being written. When was the last time? Which is the last great story you read for Spider Man?
Been a while.
It's been a while.
Been a while since I read anything for Spider-Man. Or any other comics in particular. But these days, I'm with a new community.
Yeah.
It's basically buying and selling comics. So from there, I got a huge amount of comics only for Spider-Man. Maybe I have a bag of maybe at least 100 plus for Spider-Man and his friends.
Yes, I saw. I had the.
These are some.
Yeah, some of them. Yes.
So, and I never read it for a long time because
Recently, yes, you didn't go.
No, recently I don't have time to read. This is unfortunate.
What about you?
I will say I do have in pre-order hardcover of the first editions of all the DC Marvel crossovers. So it's going to have Batman, Batman, Deadpool, Superman, Spider-Man.
But these are the recent ones.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No. What I wanted to ask was like, look, there was a time like in the mid 90s. My dad had gifted me and my brother a Spider-Man monthly subscription.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of issues in the mail. Thank you, Saudi Post. And but every issue of Spider-Man would take you somewhere else. I mean, it indescribable. Even though we were subscribing at the same time to X-Men comics, X-Force, G.I. Joe, Cable, and Wolverine. Okay. I'm not saying that those comics weren't good. They were great. But when you read Spider-Man comics, you know, that experience where you get captivated panel by panel. The story written is superb, to say the least. And the art, because this is the Mark Bagley art. And the writers, you are either finding J.M. DeMatteis or you're finding David Michelini. Okay. Mostly in that time.
And I think from Marvel, the only comics or color book that I got, only for Spider-Man.
Only for Spider-Man. So the reason I touched upon the comics is that I got that feeling, that experience when we watched Spider-Man Brand New Day. Was I wrong to feel this way about the movie?
I'm going to say that this was probably the most emotionally investing movie we've had since Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire movie. Because, and I'll be honest with you guys, the first time I saw Spider-Man 2 as a kid, it didn't really resonate with me. That years later, I watched it again, and I thought, oh my gosh, this guy's going through so many problems in his life. And there are parallels between how the hero is handling these problems and how the villain is handling, because Doc Ock resorted to stealing, robbing banks, and doing what he had to do to get his project off the ground, whereas Spider-Man was still struggling. So we see that again in this movie where he has problems, but he's trying to power through. His friends don't remember him. his aunt was killed in the last movie. He's strictly on his own, and he would run into these people, but no one has any recollection of him. And we're doing spoilers, right?
We are going spoilers, but before we go there, my question is: did you feel that as if you were seeing a Spider-Man comic in motion when you watched movie?
Yes, there are a lot of hints to the comics. We got some classic villains, but most of them don't have much to do with the story. They're just like telling us he's dealing with these villains. But the way this movie's shot, and with the way it follows him around, the way he uses his webbing, again, I'm veering from the question a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is very much a comic book movie in the way that is emotional, in the way that the action is, in the way that the story flows. It has very satisfying. I don't know why people are saying the ending is good.
No, Habibi. I heard few people were crying.
There were tears in this theater.
Yeah. Which scene?
Not going to say.
No, we are sharing spoilers here.
When he was in the hospital. Not more.
The most heartbreaking moment for me was when Jean Grey plays with MJ's mind to make Peter believe that MJ remembers him.
Yeah. I think you could hear the entire theater grasping. It's not Mary Jane.
And then that scene where she says that, look, I might be in this other life, I might have been in love with you, but I don't remember you. I don't have any feelings for you. I think this was the second most heartbreaking moment since the night Gwen Stacy died. Please, you were saying about you want to talk about a spoiler in relation to what you were saying before I interject.
Yeah. So there are a lot of those moments where Gene is interjecting with stuff happening, very emotional moments where we think that he's actually reconnecting with Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And we find out that that's not the case. We think did Peter actually break the spell for MJ?
Yeah.
Or for Ned. And I will say that there's a moment towards the very end of the movie where it's left open-ended, where Ned remembers beat for beat the secret handshake that they have. And does this mean that Ned remembers? Does this mean that he remembers his friend Peter? Or is he just saying, this is Peter who is Spider-Man, who we find out in the movie that
because MJ had accidentally said, Peter,
yeah.
What's your take?
No, he knew.
Oh, you think he knows?
He knows.
From the handshake?
Yeah.
He remembered.
The previous.
Yes.
Because like this is...
There's one movie is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. The new for Doctor Doom. Everything will be clear that movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, of course.
For sure. Of course. Especially the last spoiler.
But, here's a little bit of a heartbreaking thing. By the end of this movie, Mary Jane says she does not remember him.
Yes.
She says, I've had years away from, I guess it's been years, away from you. I've had memories and you didn't come to me and you took it upon yourself to make that decision to protect me. And, I have no memory of you. So they are not together by the end of this movie.
You know why? Who was with Spider-Man all time?
MJ?
Ned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Ned, he was his only friend.
Childhood buddy.
Yeah.
So, okay, MJ was not childhood buddy.
Are we saying that his bond with Ned is stronger than his bond with MJ? Okay.
Yeah, because you remember Homecoming?
Yeah.
Who was his love interest?
MJ. Oh, the other girl.
Liz Ann.
Yes.
So, okay, that is a point. I feel maybe I might be proven wrong later.
She had feelings for him, though, in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her father was the worship.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not Liz. MJ had feelings for him. For Peter.
For Peter.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay. I feel that maybe it's basically coming in from that scene when MJ accidentally mentions his real name.
Yeah.
Okay. And because he's obsessed in tracking Spider-Man. Okay. So he looks at him. Maybe he judges his reflexes. Okay. And it's a possibility, but they need to explain because again, Ned's relationship is with Chaos Magic, just like Hobgoblin has relationship with Chaos Magic. So that's another possibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Jean Grey, Sadie Sink.
So I think it's safe to say we have our first official X-Men casting.
Did we see Rogue, by the way?
Dude, there was this one girl. She's in the trailers. She was in the movie. She's on the bus, and the front of her scalp is bleached.
Yeah.
And oh, thank you. So all of us are assuming that's a nod to Rogue. That is Rogue. They're trying to tell us Rogue is in this universe. Clearly, I mean, I don't think it's in style, this certain particular hairstyle. So, and by the way, over the last few days, we've got some official X-Men casting.
Yeah.
Of Emma Frost, and they're eyeing someone else for Iceman. I like the Samara Weaving. I'm a big fan of hers from the Ready or Not movies.
She's a perfect white.
Yeah. But we also got they're eyeing someone for Cyclops. I don't know if there's anyone else, but those are the two. Well, Samara's been confirmed, but we're slowly but surely getting some X-Men casting.
Figures Master.
Waiting for the movies only.
Waiting for the movies.
The movies.
Okay.
But I will say one thing that I guess we
And sorry,
Go
I hope the coming movies to be the same level of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man, for me, he raised Marvel again. For most of the movies, the one that I saw before Marvel, now Spider-Man getting better.
Before we end the discussion with the last thing that I want to spoil, I'm really anxious to spoil. Has there ever been a Spider-Man live-action movie that's been a flop?
I mean, I would say that even the lowest rated Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 3, was still
On the Sam Raimi saga, but
Yeah.
not directed by Sam Raimi.
Was it not directed by?
I think it was somebody else.
Or Tobey Maguire or something?
Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man
3, the one that had Venom
Yeah.
and
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy and the Green Goblin. So what we've been told is that there was Sandman. Thank you. There was pressure from the studio to add all these characters, and then it was hinted that they were going to start production of Spider-Man 4, and that never happened. It was canceled because it was slightly lower rated than the other movies. But even that one made a lot of money. It was Tobey Maguire. It was Kirsten Dunst coming back. So many people, they love these characters. They love the actors. So they wanted to see what we thought might have been the conclusion to a trilogy.
You have the same opinion that was the lowest performing Spider-Man live action movie ever produced?
There are the old Spider-Man movies and almost like a series, the old ones, the one from 70s.
Nicholas Hammond live action.
Yeah.
That came from the TV series.
Yeah, we have that one and we have the Japanese one.
Yeah, but that's a completely different Spider-Man.
Completely
That's Spider-Man Kills.
Yeah, but the first one, the oldest one was okay. For that age, it was decent.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Those days was decent. These days, yeah, Spider-Man 3, it was, disappointing. Too many villains. There's only one guy.
One guy.
And then, okay, Green Goblin trying to help and he died.
Almost.
And he was his first person. I want to ask why he did that.
Okay, Figures Master, can you what can you tell us about the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Brand New Day?
The one in date.
Yes.
Then I did like this. After it's finished.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cinema. I did like that.
You didn't watch it?
No, I did like this. Okay, after the finish, I started taking posts for the Instagram.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say, "Your location, your location."
Okay.
Are you okay if we spoil it for you?
Spoil it.
So, well, kudos to Ned, who has access to satellites to track Spidey off-world. But apparently he has his app where he tracks Spidey wherever he is in the city. But we had no idea that he could also track him off the planet. So the app is looking for him. It says that he's off-world. And this is probably a hint that he's going to be in Secret Wars. Because at the end, we do get the classic message, Spider-Man will return.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's going to be Secret Wars. I'm assuming, hoping it's going to be the black suit. We'll see, because Tom has hinted and said we want to do Venom at some point, well, or at least a black suit.
Well, to validate your point,
Yeah.
I specifically brought my Secret Wars trade paperback.
Also show the back.
Okay. The iconic issue. Okay. And at the very start, they try to give a background, and it makes perfect sense because every hero before Secret Wars began, in their own respective issues, they would land in Grand Central Park, New York. Okay. So here we see Spidey, and then he finds this weird structure, a building, more like a coliseum or a stadium. And then he steps inside, and you look at the panel, poof, he disappears.
I remember that.
And next thing, what we learn is that Spider-Man ends up.
As a kid,
The
I had this issue.
You have
I remember this particular panel.
Yeah. I still have the Iron Man comic.
Yeah.
Where we see, and I have the Thing comic where Reed Richards, Human Torch, and the Thing, they disappeared off to Battlefield. So, to me, it makes perfect sense what you just said, that this is directly now connecting to Secret Wars, not Doomsday. Doomsday, we are going to be seeing, possibly from what I have heard, some have said that when you look at the Marvel logo, the Doomsday inspired Marvel logo, it shows Tobey Maguire. I have to recheck that.
There were also Tom Holland wearing the black suit there.
In which
Doomsday.
Doomsday?
Yeah.
I need to check that out. In the logo. Okay.
In the trailers?
Yeah.
I saw.
Okay. So I think that's a wrap.
Sir?
Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, please.
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you to people who showed up for a movie meetup. We had a lot of fun. And thank you to our audiences who were there with us, whether they knew about it and came or not. But we had a lot of friendly people come up and help us out and ask questions and talk to us. So we have a huge friendly community that's slowly but surely growing.
Yeah. It was sold out.
Oh,
it was one of the most viral TikTok posts of mine, which was published on Superheroes of Arabia when we announced the Spider-Man watch party. A lot of response came in from Instagram and all the other ones. Thank you, Figures Master.
Yeah.
It means a lot the way you made all the space for us to for both of you to showcase, to conduct this interview. Son of Jeddah, last but not certainly the least.
My pleasure.
I mean, like coming in all the way from the other part of town with your amazing, beautiful collection to showcase alongside Figures Master's collection. You guys have really proven that you are the true fans of Spider-Man in Jeddah in Saudi.
By the way, I want to add one small brief thing that I'm representing my boy Andrew Garfield, but sitting between you guys, it lets me know that I have to get myself also a Spidey hoodie because it looks amazing on you guys.
That's one, yeah. Habibi, I got it from Toronto, Canada.
Nice.
2016 or 2017.
Nice.
And now it's the first time I've said it. It's the second time I wear it.
Nice.
We're gonna finish off on a lighter note. All that time, you and I thought that Charlie Cox is lying. He wasn't. With that, our Spider-Man Day gathering comes to an end, and lots more is headed your way. We'll be announcing it pretty soon. Until next time,
See you.